Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Sally and this is Secret Life of a Seamstress. I hope you're all really well and you've had a good couple of weeks. Last week was half term for us here in the UK, the February half term, and even though we're home all the time as it is with lockdown at the moment, it was really nice to have a break from homeschool and everything else and just sort of spend some time at home as always, but doing a bit of baking and playing and crafting and getting outside, walking and things like that. All the things that we're kind of normally doing anyway, even with homeschool going on, but it just felt nice to have a bit of a break and it felt quite relaxed, so that was really nice. So if you are new to my channel is all about sewing and crafting and knitting, and if you're into those things as well, I'd love you to consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any future videos that I might post. And if you're already a subscriber or a regular viewer, thank you so much for joining me again today. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you everything I've been making in February. And I don't know about you, but February always seems to be such a short month to me. It always seems to fly by, and I don't know why, because even though it is a bit of a shorter month, it's only a couple of days shorter. But for some reason, for me, I just feel like it kind of is a bit of a weird month that just kind of comes and goes as quick as anything. And this year was no different. I just felt like February flew by. But I did manage to get a few things made, so I'm going to share with you today what I've been making in February. So first up, I'll talk about what I'm wearing, because this was one of the first things that I made this month. And what I'm wearing is another Billy sweatshirt by Tilly and the Buttons. So I'll pop in an image of the pattern just in case you aren't familiar with it, but the Tilly and the Buttons sweatshirt pattern is such an amazing pattern. You can make it as a plain sweatshirt or you can make the balloon sleeve version of the sweatshirt. And the balloon sleeve version is what I'm wearing today. So this was one of my makes for Minerva. So I am a brand ambassador for Minerva, and that means that they regularly send me fabric to review, gifted fabric, in exchange for a review and a post on their website just talking about how I found the fabric and what I've made with it. So this time I made a sweatshirt, a Billy sweatshirt with this beautiful Lady McElroy black textured knit fabric. If I hold it up to the light, you might be able to just see. It's going to be a bit of a difficult fabric to show you the detail in because it's black, but I'll come up to the camera. You might be able to see that it's got this beautiful kind of lace knit detail to it. So it's not a jersey fabric, it is a textured knit fabric. It feels as though it's been knitted. It's that kind of knitted fabric. It's not something that I've worked with before actually, so it's really interesting to me to try and work with this. I did share all about this fabric in a previous fabric haul video, so you might remember me talking about it before, but it's absolutely beautiful. It's really, really lovely and soft, and I really enjoyed working with it. So I went for the balloon sleeve version of the sweatshirt, and you can see that I've gone for the balloon sleeve at the top and at the cuff of this sweatshirt. So when I was talking about my plans for the month, I did say that I wasn't going to go for the balloon sleeve top of the sleeve. I was just going to do like a flat sleeve and have the balloon around the cuff. But because I wanted this sweatshirt to be kind of a more dressy sweatshirt jumper that I could wear out in the evening or to a do or something, I decided to go for full-on a balloon sleeve in the end. And I'm really glad I did because I really like how it's worked with this drapier fabric. So when I made my first version of the balloon sleeve sweatshirt, I did find that it came up a little bit short in the arm. So it was fine when I was kind of having my arms straight, but if I moved my arms around, it did kind of come up a bit short. So this time I added 2.5 centimetres, I think, to the length of the sleeve, and that actually works much better. And I think a few people have actually found the same, that the sleeve comes up a little bit short in the balloon sleeve version. It's fine in the straight sleeve version, but for some reason it's just that little bit shorter with the balloon sleeve. So it's something to think about if you're going to make this sweatshirt. You might want to think about lengthening the sleeves before you get started. Not only did I want that extra bit of length for sort of moving around, I really thought that in this fabric, because it's so drapey, sorry I'm just waving my arms around, but because this fabric is so drapey, I really wanted that sort of extra bit of volume around the cuff, because I thought if I had a bit of length it would kind of pull really nicely around the cuff there and just give a little bit of extra ballooniness, I guess, to the cuff. And yeah, that's worked really nicely. So I'm definitely, when I make my next version, because there'll definitely be a next version, I will definitely keep that length because it feels much better. So this fabric was really lovely to work with. It wasn't as difficult as I thought it might be being a knit fabric. It did fray a little bit, and because it's got that knitted texture it did unravel a little bit. So you have to just be careful when you're cutting it out that you're not stretching it at all. Just be really kind of careful with your pattern weights, weight it down just to make sure that it doesn't pull out of shape or anything. But yeah, it sewed really nicely, overlocked nicely. The only difficulty I really came into with it was when I tacked in the neckband here and some of it didn't quite get caught in. I had to get the seam unripper out, and that wasn't fun on this fabric. So it is quite delicate. It also feels a bit as though it wouldn't take to being handled too well. Too much. If you handled it too much, it might kind of stretch out of shape. So I did try and be very good when I was putting my neckband in, so I didn't have to do any sort of unpicking or resizing or anything, because I didn't think it would do too well with that amount of sort of handling. So I was kind of trying to be quite careful. I don't think I'd make anything too kind of involved with this kind of fabric. It would need to be something simple like a jumper or a cardigan or something, just because of that kind of movement with it. But yeah, absolutely love this fabric, and I love how this jumper's turned out. I'll just pop a couple of pictures in so that you can see what it's like, what it looks like on. And if you are interested in reading a bit more about how I made this jumper, I've written it up now, and it's under my Minerva profile, which I'll link down below so that you can read up my full pattern and fabric review on this make. And I've also actually written up on my own blog how I found making my first 3 versions of the Billy sweatshirt pattern. So if you're interested in reading that and what I learned from making the pattern, the things that I changed, I'll link that down below as well. So next up is something I think I was halfway through making when I shared my January makes last month. It's a pair of finished pyjamas for my daughter. So I think in my last video I showed the top of the pyjamas, and I was just waiting for some more fabric to come so that I could finish the bottoms. So I've now finished the full pyjama set, and you can see that it's this really cute sausage dog fabric which I got from Stop and Still. It's an organic jersey, so it feels really lovely and soft. And yeah, my fabric arrived and I was able to make the leggings for the pyjamas as well. So it's exactly the same as the previous pair that I made for her, if you remember me sharing those. It's the Francis leggings by Bobbins and Buttons. Just a really simple leggings pattern for little girls. Comes in a really huge variety of sizes actually. I think it comes from baby size right up to 9 to 10 year olds. My daughter's nearly 9, so yeah, quite a good variety of sizes in that pattern. But yeah, I absolutely love this pattern. I've made it quite a few times and it's really, really quick and easy. It's all made on the overlocker, so you don't even need to get the sewing machine out. And I'm pretty sure that I made these up in about half an hour one Saturday morning, so yeah, super speedy make. So next up is another make for my daughter. So my daughter has a pair of pink jogging bottoms which we bought for her from Marks and Spencer's quite a while ago, and they're so soft and cosy and she wears them quite a lot, but she's growing out of them a little bit now. So I told her that I would try and find a jogger's pattern and make her some myself. And she also really liked the pink sweatshirt fabric that I made my own loungewear set out of in January, I think, just after Christmas. So I decided to kind of make her own version of my pink Stella joggers, which I made last month, and this is how they turned out. So I just hold them up there. So this is a really simple jogger pattern. I found it online, I bought it from Etsy, and the pattern company I used, or I bought these from, was called Made by Me Patterns. Again, not a pattern company that I've heard of before, but they have some really lovely kids patterns on there. So it's Made by Me Patterns. I bought mine from Etsy, but I think they do have their own website as well. So yeah, I downloaded this pattern, it was about $3.99 I think, printed it out, and it was one of those patterns where you can print the size that you want, so there wasn't a lot of wastage there printing the PDF. I printed an age 9, had a bit of a mad moment where I thought my daughter was 9, she's actually 8. So I printed out her size as 9 to 10 for some reason, even though she's 8. But actually it worked really well that I did print out the age 9 to 10 because they fit her really well. They were just a little bit long on the leg. So I just literally cut off about 2.5 centimetres, I think, about 1 inch off of the length of the leg, and attached the cuff, and actually they're fine now. So I'm glad that I went for the age 9 to 10. I don't know why I thought she was older than she was, just a bit of a mad moment there. But it worked out okay in the end. So yeah, that was a really nice quick and easy make. I think I made these all on the overlocker as well. So this lovely pink sweatshirting fabric was from Abercon Fabrics. It's the same fabric that I used for my own loungewear set actually, and it's really, really cosy. I'll show you the inside. So yeah, they turned out really well. I'm really pleased with them, and it was really nice to discover this new pattern company. I really like coming across other pattern companies that make really lovely patterns for children. So that was Made by Me Patterns, and I'll link this pattern and their website down below. So next I have even more loungewear to show you. This was obviously the month of jersey. I made lots of jersey makes this month, but it's just all that sort of cosy lockdown feeling that I've been having lately. So this was another loungewear set. It's exactly the same as my pink loungewear. I've used the Linden sweatshirt for the top. I'll hold it up so you can see. More on this top in a minute. And I've used the Stella jogger pattern by Tilly and the Buttons from her book Stretch. So I'll just show you the patterns just in case you're not familiar with them. So this is the Linden sweatshirt by Grainline Studio. I love this pattern so much. If you watch my previous videos, you'll know how many times now I've made this pattern, and it's just come in so handy for lots of different things. So yeah, I really recommend this as a basic sweatshirt pattern. And then these are the Stella joggers, just from the Tilly and the Buttons book Stretch, which is another fantastic book. I love all of Tilly's books. So this really pretty floral fabric is a French terry, which I bought quite a while ago now from Stoff and Still. I'll just show you the inside. It's a really kind of cosy French terry, really lovely, a really big vibrant kind of print all over it with birds and flowers, and I really love this, and I was saving it for quite a while, didn't quite know what to make with it, and then thought I'd really love a loungewear set out of this. Yeah, so I just decided to recreate my previous loungewear set, which I really love, and make another version. So I had about 2 meters of this fabric, and when I came to cut it, something was a bit weird with the grain line of it. So I had one selvage edge, but then when I went to fold it in half, the other kind of selvage edge of the fabric was really kind of not straight at all. So when I went to fold the fabric and get it to hang straight, half of my fabric on one side wasn't there. I hope you know what I mean. But it was almost as if it had been cut a bit off grain. It was really weird. So the two selvages didn't meet at the back. So I had to be really careful how I was cutting. It also meant that I kind of lost quite a bit of fabric because in certain areas of my folded piece of fabric there was none there on the underneath, if that makes sense. So I really had to kind of play pattern Tetris and try and get all of my pieces in to get this loungewear cut. So I think there's a few pieces of the pattern that aren't really cut properly on the grain, and I don't know if that will cause me any problems at a later date, but just thinking that for a loungewear set I'm hoping that it will be okay. But yeah, that was really weird. I'm not quite sure what was the matter with that fabric and why it was doing that, but yeah, it just didn't hang properly. If I tried to, I could either have my selvages meeting and then it wouldn't fold properly in the middle, or I could fold my fabric properly and then half of it would not be there underneath. So yeah, a bit weird. I'm not really sure what had happened there, but something was obviously off with how it had been cut. So anyway, I managed to get almost all of this out of 2 meters of fabric. The only thing I couldn't get out was actually the waistband for this Linden sweatshirt. So you can see that it's actually quite cropped. And I crop my Linden sweatshirts a little bit anyway, just because I prefer that length on me, but obviously you'd have the waistband there as well, just to add a little bit more length, and on this one I don't have that. So I really actually like the cropped length. I think it's fine, and it doesn't show any of my tummy or anything, so that's a good thing. It kind of comes right to the waistband of my joggers. Probably worth mentioning actually that just because there wasn't a lot of stretch in this fabric, I did add a little bit to my neckband pieces, probably about 1 centimetre I think, just to kind of accommodate for the lack of stretch there and give it a bit more ease of kind of fitting in. And I did the same on my Stella jogger cuffs as well, just so that I could kind of fit the leg of the joggers into the cuff a little bit easier, and that worked really well. So just something to kind of note: if you are using your main fabric rather than a ribbing fabric, you might have a little bit less stretch in that, so just kind of add a little bit to cuffs to accommodate for that lack of stretch. So next, you might have been able to see this huge thing sitting behind me while I've been talking. I decided this week in half term that I would make a closet core patterns puff. So the top is made up of 12 triangles to make the circle. If I hold it up like this, you can pretty much probably get the gist of how it works. So it all comes together to form this big circle top, and it reminds me of a Trivial Pursuit counter where you put all the triangles in. That's what I was thinking of the whole time I was making this. And then the sides are made up of 12 rectangles to kind of make the sides. I'll put in a picture of this as well because I'm sure you probably can't see very well with me holding it like this on my lap. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this. So the idea is that you make it all out of fabric scraps. So you make the actual puff out of fabric scraps that kind of coordinate together. So I went with colours that went with our lounge, and these are just kind of curtain weight fabrics that I've had hanging around just from leftover things that I've made for the house or for work. And then the underneath is made up of 2 half semicircles with a zip in the middle. And you can add piping around the edge if you want to, which I have done because I really wanted to have a go at piping. But you don't have to add that in if you don't want to, but I think it looks really nice if you add in the piping as well. Just popped it down on the floor now because it's actually really heavy. So the pattern is free. If you sign up to the Closet Core Patterns newsletter, you can actually access the kind of subscriptions part of their website, and there's a free pattern to download for the puff. So I think that's a really brilliant pattern. I was amazed at how many scraps actually that puff could hold. So I had a whole basket worth of bags of scraps upstairs, like a big rectangular basket, and I managed to get them all in there, and there's still a bit of space for more actually. So yeah, it really does hold a lot of scraps. So not only do the children like to jump all over it in the lounge and the dog loves to sit on it, but it actually looks nice, and I've managed to clear out a whole basket worth of scraps which I can now use for more fabric, yay! So yeah, good news all around. I'm really pleased with that. It was a really nice afternoon project, so I think I cut all my pieces out one morning, and then the next day in the afternoon I spent 2 or 3 hours making it, so it's quite a quick project, it's an afternoon project. And yeah, I found it came together really nicely and I really enjoyed making it, so I definitely recommend that pattern. And finally, the last thing I managed to finish this month, and this is literally hot off of the sewing machine. I finished this last night, so I don't have any pictures of it to share yet or anything like that, but I thought I would share it in this video as well because obviously it's a February make, and yeah, I was really excited to share it. So you may remember, if you've watched my previous video, that I've been making the I Am Patterns Merlin coat, and this I think has been the most overthought sewing project ever, for me anyway. I don't know what it was with this, but I really overthought it, and I just got myself in such a state, and I think it's because coat sewing has just been one of those things where I thought, oh, I'd really like to make a coat, I wonder if I can do that. You know, it's a big kind of challenge for me. So making my first coat was always going to be quite a big thing. So I made my twirl, which I showed in an earlier video in February, and kind of got all the fitting right and everything, and kind of knew what I was doing with the pattern and everything, and then I just kind of left it and didn't go any further with it. I got myself really scared of cutting out the fabric. Yeah, I don't know what it was, I just got in a bit of a state with it and then I just had to leave it. And then last weekend I just thought, this is silly, I just need to get it cut out. If it goes wrong, it's not the end of the world, I'll just waste a bit of fabric possibly, you know, but why was I overthinking it so much? I don't really know. But anyway, last weekend I decided to just cut it out and get on with it. So I know you're not going to be able to see this on the camera properly here, but I'm actually planning to make a whole other review video on this coat, because I mentioned when I was coming to sew this that there wasn't a lot of kind of reviews on this pattern out there, so I thought it might be helpful if I did a review, but also I think for my own kind of record I would really like to make a video about my first coat. So I'm planning to make a video kind of talking more about the changes that I made to the pattern and how I found the pattern and everything. So stay tuned for that and make sure that your notifications are clicked on so that you don't miss that video if you're interested. But I'll just give you a kind of quick look at the coat as it is at the moment. So this is the pattern that I used. It's the I Am Merlin pattern from I Am Patterns, and it's not a very detailed booklet, there's no actual pictures or anything, just a line drawing, so I'll show you the line drawing there. you can see kind of the silhouette of the coat and the style of it. So I went for a lovely camel coloured wool fabric from Minerva, and then on the inside I've lined it with a taffeta kind of checkered lining, and I love it. I'm really pleased with this now, and I'm really pleased that I did all the twirling and the sizing, and making sure that I got the fit and everything right, because I'm so happy with it now. So in the end, once I'd calmed myself down and everything, I actually really enjoyed the process of sewing this coat, because I took my time with it. I did it over a few evenings this week, and I think the actual process of sewing the coat wasn't difficult. The techniques in there, apart from the welt pockets here, which were always going to be a little bit of a challenge, the rest of the coat in terms of technique wasn't actually that difficult. The difficulty I found with it was actually handling the thick fabric, and kind of, you know, working with it and using a tailor's clapper and all of those different things that I had to do just to get it looking right. Yeah, so I'm really happy with it now. I love the fabrics that I've chosen. They came together beautifully, lovely to sew. The taffeta was a bit frayy, so didn't think I'd actually have to overlock any of it, but in the end I did, just to be kind of on the safe side. And I've just finished it with a little kind of pearl button here, just buttons over with one button, but you can add more buttons if you want to. I think I'm going to leave it like that at the moment and just see how I get on with it. And as I say, I'm going to do a whole other video just reviewing the pattern and talking a bit more about the changes I made and how I found the process and everything. So yeah, stay tuned for that, and I'll probably write a blog post about it as well, just so that I've got it on my blog as a record of my first coat. So I think that's everything I have to share with you today. I hope you like what I've made. I know there's not an awful lot in there, apart from the coat, which took up most of my time and energy and sleeping time. But yeah, I'm really pleased that actually that coat is done now. I feel like it's a big milestone and a big thing that I've kind of got off my shoulders in a way. I know that I'm overthinking this way more than probably anyone else would, and if you've made coats before, then you're probably thinking, what are you going on about? Why are you getting in such a state about it? But I don't know, something about it just kind of got me mentally, obviously, and I'm really pleased that I managed to finish the coat and get it done, and that I'm happy with it. So I'll leave the video here and just say I hope you have a lovely rest of the week and a lovely weekend. I'll hopefully be back next week with another video. Something exciting actually. I'm getting involved with the Frugal Frocks challenge, which you may have heard about from other vloggers on YouTube here. I know a few of us are getting involved in this challenge, so I think next week I'll be talking more about that challenge and what I'm hoping to sew for it. So have a lovely week, have a lovely weekend, and do let me know in the comments as always what you're making. I'd love to know. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and click the notification bell so that you don't miss any future videos. And also just to mention that you can actually subscribe to my blog. So I am trying to keep more up to date with my blog. I'm trying to blog most of my makes now. So if you are interested in reading more about my makes, anything that I've made on there, you can actually subscribe to my blog, and that just means that you'll get an email every time I post something new, just to tell you what I've been putting on there. So do pop over and subscribe to my blog as well if you're interested, and I'll leave the link for that below as well. I look forward to seeing you in my next video, everyone. Bye!